Hello everybody, it's your non-binary pal Gracious E.V.A here, and welcome back to another traditional art video. For this video, I was working in my main sketchbook, which isn't the second one I filled out, it's actually the third one I'm working on filling out. I promised to do another sketchbook tour for the second one that I had filled out. I just need to finish recording that one. But yeah, this is so recently I had gotten some more line art pins, which are these colored pins. You'll see me showing the box here, and I show the previous page that I was working on, which was kind of me experimenting with these pins. I've had them for a while up to this point, but I hadn't used them to just create artwork like with just the pins. But because there's a wide variety of colors, I figured I could be able to do that. And so these artworks that I made was made for me to experiment with that by picking out different colors to use for the line art, which I would use the darkest color for, a more of a mid-tone color for shading, a slightly lighter one for like a little extra shading in areas that I don't want to be like super deep with shadow, and then a separate lighter color for like a pop of color, which was actually a last minute thing I decided to do, but I thought it would work really well. And for these, I decided to use my pixieling knights from my making gender non-conforming knights video. So yeah, this is a little bit of a sequel to that, but also kind of not, because I do draw them differently here. I give them different outfits and well, they still look very similar, I basically just gave them different outfits just to experiment with that. So this first one is of Salvia, and yeah, I had to actually sketched out on a different page for this first artwork, but I ended up not liking how that was looking, so I started on a different one, and this worked out a lot better. I think I might have actually ended up taking that failed attempt out of my sketchbook and used it for something else, but yeah, so as you can see here, I'm beginning to work. Because these pens are a little thinner, I do end up like going over some lines to create the illusion of pin pressure, sort of the same way I would with my usual normal black pins. I have this brush pin that I'm able to do that effect pretty easily, but because these don't have that and they're a lot thinner, I do have to go over a little bit to thicken up some lines, which I don't mind at all. I actually really like these pins a lot. They don't really bleed through. I think they're water based, which means that I do have to use them after I do anything that requires a lot of water, but they work super well. I've been using them a lot with my watercolor and gouache paintings, and it's super great, and I like these a lot. I used to have a different set, but they were a lot thicker and would like bleed out a little bit too much for my liking. So yeah, these are a very nice alternative to those. The colors that I used for Salvia are of course the colors that are in his main design, which are blues and pinks. Well, his design leans more towards like a purplish blue, but I didn't have too many of that type of color in this, so it ended up being like a lot of blues and pinks. So yeah, I used dark blues for the line art and shading, and then a light pink for the pop of color that I used in the highlights of the hair and some accessories. I also gave all of them tattoos, just because I thought that would be really fun, and it was really fun, and I like the idea of tattoos. It's also kind of like a replacement for their like usual designs, Canon, or I guess pixieling spots, which are the little dots on their skin, if you remember from that video. I also ended up doing a lot of hatching with this, of course. That's another reason why I wanted to kind of experiment with creating art with just these pins alone, so I could do a lot of hatching shading, because I really like doing hatching shading. I like it a lot. I did hatching and like the usual shading spots, and then I did a little hatching on the ends of his hair for a little gradient, all of that good stuff. And initially I was only going to use one shade of pink for the pops of color, but I ended up using two, one darker and one lighter, so that the areas that are pink have a little more depth. I also used pink in his eyes and for his makeup. And yeah, overall, I really like how this one turned out. But as I was finishing up lining him, I decided to also do a little bit of background stuff, which also ended up being pretty hatchy, especially with the sky. I just kind of like hatched in like a little bit of like impression of the sky there, and I like how that ended up looking too. I didn't talk too much about the outfit, but it was basically inspired by a couple of pieces that I found on Pinterest, but I made them a bit more floral because that's sort of his thing. And I also gave him a little hairpiece that's supposed to resemble the flower he's named after. And yeah, this one, like I said, was super fun, and it was just the first one, so yeah. the next drawing I did was of Aster. For this one, instead of the colors I chose last time, I went with pinks and grays. Now, unfortunately, because gray isn't technically a color, it's a hue, the grays don't really pop as much on this one. So this one ended up looking a lot more monochrome than the others. But I still liked working on it. And I also believe that I couldn't find enough actual pink pins in mine, so I also ended up using more purples in this one. But other than that, same process of a darker color for the line art, the main line art, some mid-tone colors for the shading, and then the pops for the pops of color. The same thing with him. I also used the pop of color on his eyes and also for the makeup. I didn't add too many accessories for him. I did give him like these nice earrings though, and also again some tattoos. I put the tattoos in a different spot, like one on the center of his chest, which is supposed to look like the flower that he's named after. And just like with Salvia, I also gave him clothes that are inspired by different pieces. His is a little more revealing, a little more like summery, where Salvia's was a bit more like fall-like. I feel like Aster's was more like summery. Yeah. And he also had these like see-through, like a see-through little coat, like a crop top, like off-shoulder jacket thing. So I used a lighter color to show that it is still see-through on the parts of his body that were covered with this little see-through shawl thing. I know I've called this thing like several different things, but you know what I mean. I also give him this I think like belly button thing, accessory thing around his stomach, which I think looks really cool. And yeah, like I said, this piece ended up being a bit more monochromatic, but I do still really like it. And I think that also is because the grays I chose are a little bit of lighter grays than they could have been, but that's okay. And same process with the sky as well. Something I didn't mention in Salvia's piece was that for the sky, I actually used two different colors and kind of gradient them a little bit by slowly working my way to the different color towards from the top towards the bottom of the sky, and they're all sitting on this like wall thing as well. And I added some clouds because I like adding clouds. Aster's looking more like confident in this pose, a little more punky like he usually is. I also gave everyone different piercings, so he gets eyebrow piercings as well with his earrings. And I also gave him a fang here. I don't think he has a fang in his original design, but I added one in this one. I don't mind it at all. I think it looks cool. It's not a super big one. It's just there. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say with this artwork. And now for the final one, which was Nim. For this one, I went with a little bit of a riskier color palette of reds for the main one, and then blues and a bluish green for the pops of color. I find this palette a little more riskier because it can end up looking a bit too Christmassy if not done right. But because the colors I chose ended up being a bit more of orange and blue, I think it ended up looking a lot better. And orange, blue, and green I feel like is a nice pleasing color. It kind of reminds me of oranges. So yeah, it's this one I also ended up liking, and the pops of color actually like pop more in this one, so it's less monochromatic. Yeah, same process as well, although I believe the color I chose for the line art and the shading color ended up looking a little bit similar. But hey, that just makes the hatching look more noticeable, and it doesn't like look too bad, I don't think. But yeah, because the blues I chose are like a little two different types of blues. We got a like more sky blue and then like a turquoisey blue. It does end up looking like the pops of color are two different types of colors, but I don't mind that. I didn't give him any extra piercings other than his earrings. I did give him this much more like royal looking outfit because he just fits that aesthetic a lot more. Drawing his braid was fun. I like drawing braids. There was a time when I really didn't like drawing braids. Now my main character for my biggest comic project has a braid. It's Hope, by the way. And yeah, I also gave his design some like these chain necklaces, and also some slight see-through elements with his sleeves that also have this like flower pattern towards the end. I believe I forgot to actually give like Astor a bit more of a floral patterning with his outfit, where Nim and Salvia both do, but he also got like a lot more obvious tattoos as well, so I feel like that makes up for it. I also gave Nim these butterflies in his hair, just because I didn't want to just do the flowers again like I did with the first one. And yeah, like I said, not much else to talk about with this one. Same thing I did with the sky in the background. Once I was done with the first artwork, sketching for the rest of the artworks went a lot smoother, which I'm glad about because I don't want to waste paper. But yeah, these were all super fun to work on. I'm sorry I didn't have too much to say about them because they don't they're kind of self-explanatory on the first one. But I'm really glad I decided to use my my Pixie Knight characters, because at the time of making these I had recently designed them, and I just have recently posted that video, so you can kind of think of this as like a sequel to that. But yeah, let me know if you have pins like these and if you've tried making artwork with them as well, or if you haven't tried just making artwork with the pins alone. Maybe this will serve as like a inspiration for that. But yeah, I'll just let the rest of this speed paint play out, and I'll see you at the end. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more artworks like this, I usually do digital art, but I also do traditional art as well. You can subscribe for more videos and check out my artworks on Kara. I also have my comics. I do commissions now, so if you want to commission me for any artworks, you can email me at evacommissions1@gmail.com. The 1 is very important. I won't see it if you just do E.V.A commissions without the 1. And I said it in the little announcement thing, but DMing me won't work because I am not on many socials medias at this time. So emailing me is the best, but you can also try to DM me on Kara. I'll probably see that as well. But yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!